Guelder rose is naturally from Europe, Western Asia and Northern Africa. It's a really interesting kind of viburnum, and at this time of year it has these flowers which look very similar to hydrangea flowers, and they have these sterile flowers around the edge, and then the inner flowers, these little ones, have both male and female parts. But it's weird they have these sterile flowers around the edge. I guess it's to attract insects and things, but they are really lovely at this time of year. Really bright and colourful, and they quite like a damp location. This one is growing in a swamp. We planted this hedge years ago, and it's like just a little bit of raised ground, just by a foot or so, just going through a swamp. If they're planted in a swamp, they don't seem to do all that well, but they like growing quite close to swamps, in damp ground, close to rivers and ponds and things. But they are really tough, and they do very well in the under canopy or in a hedge and loads of locations. And a bit later in the year they have these really lovely bright orange berries, and then the leaves will go really nice autumn colour as well, all kinds of like crimsons, and really stunning in the autumn. And here's another one quite happily growing in with these other trees here. And this one, which is in a slightly more shady spot, and it's coming out a bit later. Here's one we put in years ago, and it's quite happily growing underneath the canopy of the trees. The trees have been in like about 11 years, and it's completely under the canopy now. And look, it's flowering loads, really happy in loads of different conditions. So it's a really good under canopy tree, and they don't get really tall. They get maybe 12 feet or something. They more sort of grow outwards. This one here is doing really well behind me on this little island thing. I can't remember how long ago I planted that one, but it loves it again by water, and it's a really stunning spot there. It flowers really dramatically, and you can see it, and then later in the year you get the autumn leaves and the berries, and it's just a really stunning place there, because you can really see it easily from a few different places. And then if you just then look in that little inlet just there, you can see another one there. Just as it's starting to establish, they tend to grow over the water quite a bit, and they're really most colourful now, and you can really see where they are. This one's in a much more sheltered spot, and the flowers are almost over, so it's sort of come out a bit sooner. But the plants do vary quite a bit from when they come out from each other. They don't all come out at the same time. And Guelder rose does have some medicinal uses. The plant is otherwise known as cramper bark, because the bark made into tea can be good for cramps and good for blood pressure, also asthma, nervous conditions, and the bark has antispasmodic qualities. When the berries come in the autumn, they have similar medical properties to the bark, but they have slight toxins in them, and they need to be cooked before they're used. But the berries can be used as a substitute for coffee. The flowers can be exceptionally dramatic when they're sort of high up like this on a sunny hedge. This one is completely finished flowering. You can see there's little berries starting to develop there. And Guelder rose typically grows with these very long new bits of growth from lower down. And then they sort of flower next year, so that's the last one, so it's sort of gaining height. There's a bit of last year's growth with some berries forming on it. And then these big new bits, it's going to be bigger next year, but they don't get that big. And they tend to not weigh themselves down like this, and then they'll root in, and a little clump of them spreads on the forest floor. And they seem to spread like that. You get like a nice tangled clump of them, and they don't get very big, so they make up one of the lower tiers of the forest under canopy. And they're really good for having lots of diversity and lots of levels of canopy and under canopy in a forest. And here, just growing in sort of a dense canopy of trees here, quite happily. And this one's sort of nearly finished flowering. So there you go, it's Guelder rose. Really lovely native plant, and really good to plant in any kind of new woods or new hedges. They do very well in both. So I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you press the little me, which is somewhere down there, then you can see all my other videos. And I shall see you next time.